We're going to look at 4 websites that you can use for searching for verses in Farsi or Surani or other languages, and also displaying on screen or copying into a document. And we're just going to look at some of the features of these websites. They've all got their advantages and disadvantages, so it's just a case of playing around and seeing what works best for what you want to do. So we're going to start with Bible.com. Very easy to remember. There it is in the top. You might recognize this if you use the YouVersion app. This is from the same organization. This is basically a web version of the YouVersion app. And so we just need to start by clicking on Read the Bible now. Now, this is the last passage I was looking at, so it's just defaulted to that. But I can change the book, I can choose the chapter, and I can choose the Bible version that I want to use. Now, what you're probably interested in is not so much the English, but the Farsi and Surani. So I can just click where the version is and change language. I type in Farsi, and here it comes. Click on that, and it gives me 4 different options of Farsi Bible translations. So this one here, you might be able to see in the bottom left-hand corner on the screen. It's just coming up with a link which says at the end EXO as in Exodus.3.NMV. So NMV is New Millennium Version. This is the Farsi translation that is generally used in Christadelphia. And we've also got the PCB. We've got the POV, Persian Old Version, and the TPV, which is more of a kind of paraphrase. So NMV is what we're going to use, as that's our kind of standard. You can see as well, this has an audio Bible available, as does TPV, today's Persian version as well. So let's click on that. Okay, so now I've got Exodus 3 in the New Millennium Version. Don't worry if you can't understand Farsi, because even though the book name is in Farsi here, if you go up to the link at the top, you can see it's Exodus. And you can choose a passage either by going through the book names, which of course is a problem if you don't speak Farsi. So the alternative to that is the English codes at the top are generally the first 3 letters of the book's name. So for example, if I want 1 Kings, 1 KI, okay, and that's taken me to 1 Kings. Or if I want to go to Romans, I can do it that way. If that doesn't work for you, then I'm afraid it's a case of going back to the English. Oh, let me try that again. Going back to the English, finding an English Bible, choosing the book you need. So we're going to look at the book of, oh, it doesn't seem to want to let me do this. Okay, book of Joshua, and then going back to the Farsi. So that's a little bit laborious, and that's maybe a slight weakness of this site. It doesn't work that well if you don't speak both languages. Okay, another option we've got then is to search for Surani instead. So change language, Surani, there we go. And we've got 2 versions. There we go, KSS, that's the Kurdish Surani Standard Version. And then I think this version here was only part of the Bible. So it's the top one we want because that is a complete Bible. That's the most recent translation. And that's the one that we generally use in Surani classes. So there we go. Now we've got Joshua chapter 1 in Kurdish Surani. And we can listen to it as well. Or can we? Yes, there we go.
يشوع بەشی یەکەم فەرمانی یەزدان بۆ یەشوع ئەوە بوو پاش مردنی موسای بە
Okay, now you'll notice as well that we've got the option that has come up, parallel. This sometimes comes up and sometimes does not. It seems to be a little bit temperamental on this website. It's more likely to come up, I think, if you are already signed in. You can sign up for a free account up here. But it's come up, and so we've added that. You just click there to exit, click again to do parallel. And okay, well, maybe I want to have English and Sorani side by side. So I choose English, and I'm going to go for the ESV again. And there we go. I've got ESV on one side and Kurdish Standard Version on the other side. It's a little bit unfortunate. As you can see, the verses don't match up very well. So verse 1 here is verse 1 here. Verse 2 here is verse 2 here. Okay, not quite so easy to kind of see how they match up. But at least they're there together, and we can, follow maybe through in the English and then find these verses in the Sorani. You've seen at the bottom here that a little box has come up where I can copy and highlight things as well. So that happens just by me clicking on part of the text. It works fine in the English. It doesn't work in the Kurdish. But I can do that. I can copy and then post to something else. Now, imagine I've got a class with Farsi speakers and with Sorani speakers. Well, there we go. I just need to change language. Type in Farsi. We've got the NMV once more. And there we go. It's come up. Normally, if I take the parallel off and we just have the NMV on its own, then you've got the option for an audio Bible. Notice that there's a little stop sign here because we're still in Joshua and the audio Bible for Farsi has not yet been completed, which means we've only got the New Testament. If we go to a New Testament book, Romans chapter 1, there we go, that's now working. And I can listen to Romans chapter 1.
نامه پولس رسول به رومیان باب یکم از پولس غلام مسیح عیسی.
So that is Bible.com. It has probably more translations and more languages than any other Bible website. It's completely free and it's also available as an app. One website which is a little more simple is BibleGateway.com. Now, this doesn't have as many on there. This doesn't have a Farsi Bible, really, but it does have a Kurdish Sorani Bible. So you might find it useful for Kurdish. It's maybe a little easier to use. It's a little bit simpler in the way that it works. So I can type in the passage here. And as before, I can choose my language. It defaults to English, but we can go to all. And if we do that, we can find all sorts of languages here, right? Kurdish Sorani Standard, that's what we want. I can do search, and there we've got the Kurdish Bible. So I don't really want all of these distracting things on the side. Imagine that perhaps you're using this on a Zoom call. Maybe this is a reading for the breaking of bread. You perhaps want everything just kind of stripped down to the basics. So that's what we've got here. If we want to have parallel, we can do that. Add parallel. Okay, it's defaulted to the NIV here, but I could use another version if I preferred. And then I've got Sorani and English side by side. Once again, the verse numbers don't quite match up, which is a little bit unfortunate. Now, while we're on this site, which is a little bit easier to use, it's maybe worth just highlighting how we can copy and paste. Maybe you want to send something in an email to somebody or a document, or put it on a PowerPoint slide, or put it into your notes, I can just highlight it, copy, and then I've got my Word document already open, and paste. There it is. Or if I want to use the Kurdish, there we go. Now remember, I have to highlight backwards because it's written the other way around. I can do the same thing, copy, paste. And there we go. I've got Genesis 1, verses 1 and 2 in both English and Sorani. So that is BibleGateway.com. There is really no audio to speak of on here, so it's not so great for that. And there is no Farsi. But for Kurdish Sorani, then you might find that easier to use and a little bit easier to read on screen.